guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Allegra Ray, and today we're going to be talking about my IUD experience. Before I get into this content, I just want to say this is for a mature audience only, since we will be talking about sex as well as the female body parts amongst other things. If you feel like you are not old enough to be watching it, you take your behind somewhere else. Or if you feel like you need to talk to a parent before viewing this, show your parent this video and see if it's okay for you to be watching it on your own or watch it with a parent. Because like I said, we're going to be talking about sex, the female body, and different types of birth control. And I know birth control can kind of be a touchy subject for some people. With that being said, let's just get right into the video.
Are you listening?
As you guys already know, I have an IUD, also known as an intrauterine device. It is a T-shaped small little object that gets inserted into the uterus, and you have to get it done by a doctor at a doctor's office. You have to get it removed by a doctor at a doctor's office. So you can get a hormone IUD or a non-hormone IUD. The copper IUD has no hormones in it. The hormone ones have progestin in it, and you have the Mirena, the Skyla, and the Liletta. It is 99% effective and can last, I believe, approximately 3 to 6 years. Depending on which one you get, the years may vary. So talk to your doctor. Are you looking for something more long-term or more short-term? And remember, birth control does not prevent against STD. So don't get birth control thinking that you shouldn't protect yourself when you're sexually active by not wearing a condom. Condoms are the most well-known source to prevent STDs. There are some side effects when it comes to the IUD, but most of them are very subtle. The biggest one being changes in your menstrual cycle. It can lighten or it can stop, or it might just be a little irregular spotting. If you guys want to know more about the different effects of an IUD, please do your research as well as speak to a healthcare professional so you know what you need for your body. Let's just take a moment to discuss my birth control history. So some side effects of birth control in general are changes in your menstrual cycle. With an IUD, your menstrual cycle can completely stop, or it could be very, very light, or you might have irregular spotting. Some benefits of birth control, just birth control in general, is it helps with acne, endometriosis, it helps reduce the risk of ovarian cancer, helps regulate your menstrual cycle, as well as helps with ovarian cysts. Now remember, age also plays a part in whatever birth control you need. After a certain age, I believe 35, the benefit of birth control dramatically decreases for you. So now we can get into my whole birth control history and how I started and what led me to get the IUD, like why I felt an IUD was right for me. Well, when I was younger, I got my period at the age of 11, which now that I have 10-year-old sisters, I understand that that's like really, really young. And as I got older, my period became more and more complicated and a burden on me. I would say my period became definitely a burden on me after having it at such a young age. I experienced extremely heavy periods. Like once I got to the age of about 13, my periods got so heavy. Like, I'm not even kidding. Y'all know those nighttime overnight always pads, like the purple ones that are like this big? I was wearing like 2 or 3 of those at a time, and I would have to change it every hour to 2 hours. Like, that's how much I was bleeding. Sometimes after 30 minutes, like that's how much blood I was losing. It was really bad. It had even got to the point where I was having my period for 2 weeks at a time. Do you know? Did y'all hear me? 2 weeks. I was having my period for 2 weeks at a time. Do you know how awful that is to experience as a 13-year-old girl? to have your period for 2 weeks at a time and to be so heavy that you have to continue to change your pad. And teachers aren't that sympathetic towards you, okay? Alright, not no little black girl. I'm sorry. I know y'all don't want to hear that, but a lot of teachers are not sympathetic. If you gotta keep going up to go to the bathroom, they don't care. After a certain point, they think you're just trying to get out of the classroom. It was hard. And when I approached my mom to the idea of birth control, she was completely against it. And this is where I wasn't aware that there was such a stigma on birth control. So we had computers back then. We had like dial-up computers. You guys remember back when you had to have the cord attached into the computer and the desktops, and computers were still like either black or gray. But anyways, yeah, I did my research on like what can I do, like, and they were saying diet and exercise. Like, I'm 13, like how much exercise can I get? I'm already playing outside all day. I got gym, I got recess, I'm out in the morning time. Like, how much exercise does a 13-year-old girl have to do in order to regulate her period? How much dieting? Like, I didn't want to think about dieting. I'm 13 years old. I should be able, that's one time in my life where I should be able to eat whatever I want and not have to worry about it within reason, you know. So I was really like confused about what I should do. And then I also saw birth control. I was like, okay, I probably need to see a doctor about this. Maybe they can give me some birth control. Maybe they could do something. Let me just talk to my mom, you know? It's like a health thing. Let me just talk to my mom. You know, it's my mom. And granted, me and my mom do have like we have a good relationship, but I definitely feel like I cannot, especially back then, like certain things, I did not get a good response from her with a lot of things, and talking about birth control was one of them, which is, it's really sad. And a lot of girls can't talk to their parents about birth control because, like a lot of girls, my mom assumed that I did not want them for the right reasons and I didn't need them at a young age. Like, I just had to deal with that period. Like, I just had to deal with it. I don't think she really knew, because I was very like kept a lot of stuff to myself. I don't think she knew the extent, because my mom always had pads in the house. She always made sure I had enough pads and everything I needed to stay sanitary and to stay clean. She always made sure I had some in my backpack. I always had clean underwear, everything. So, and she knew I knew how to take care of myself. She showed me how to, you know, keep myself clean and all that stuff. So she just let me handle that myself. So I don't think she understood just how difficult it was for me. So if the lighting keeps changing, you guys, it's because my son broke my ring light. So I'm tapping it, trying to get it to look even over here, but it's gone. It's about over with. I'm gonna have to get a new one, okay? As I was saying, I did not know there was a lot of stigmas on birth control. A lot of people think if you're gonna be on birth control, it's just for sex. That's it. That is it. And I felt like so ashamed. Like, I just felt so ashamed because that's not what I wanted it for, and I didn't want people to think that about me. And I thought, if I have this, everything's gonna be so much better. Like, that's all I wanted it for, was to relieve those heavy, painful periods. And I have the worst PMS. It's a lot subtle now, but when I was younger, I knew my period was coming. I would get horrible lower back pains. Absolutely horrible. Super sore, tender breasts. They would swell up. I was already really skinny with bigger breasts, so I had to deal with that as a kid. I would have awful acne breakouts. I was already getting some acne from like puberty kicking in, so I was getting even worse acne breakouts. I would get extremely depressed on my period. Extremely depressed. Like, just lay in the bed, be in the dark, not want to move. Like, that's not normal all the time for a 13-year-old. And then I would get awful cramps. Like, I would be like, I would have to take like 5 Tylenols. I'm that type of person. Like, I'm gonna need at least 6 ibuprofens, about 5 Tylenols, because it's just not gonna work on me. It's just not gonna work if I take like 1 or 2. I'm sorry, it's not gonna hit the spot for me. I'm still have a headache, I'm still be in pain, everything. Like, Some people gotta double up like that. I'm not condoning taking a ton of pills, just to let you guys know, for any type of personal pleasure, alright? I don't condone that. Just take what you need, take what your body needs. Some people's bodies need a little bit more, some people's need a little bit less. If you need to cut that pill in half, cut it in half. Don't think you could be like me and take all that, because not everybody can. Anyways, I digress. I just went completely off topic. I'm sorry about that. If you guys need to know more about birth control, please find a trusted adult that you feel comfortable sharing your ideas and your thoughts about birth control with. I definitely don't think talking about birth control or taking birth control should be taboo or have any negative stigmas about it, because I don't think, why? I get there has been a whole history of experimentations and people are against hormones and all that stuff, and they swear it does this to you and they swear it does that to you, but you need to think about yourself personally, what you need, and do what you feel, what you truly feel is best for you. I do want to also discuss my experiences with different types of birth control. For the longest, I just had to do like intense dieting and exercises, which was not really good for my mental health at such a young age. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it definitely messed with me, like mentally and emotionally. I did a lot of like negative things to my body trying to do that, like just trying to regulate my period. I got into a whole different mental state going into dieting and exercising. So long story short, I used dieting and exercise to regulate my period, and it was really tough. I did not get on birth control until I became sexually active. So I became sexually active in college with my then boyfriend, who is now my husband. It was my first time ever, first person I was with, everything. So I did not go to my mom. Didn't even want to tell her about a boyfriend. I was 19 with a curfew, with like a 10 o'clock curfew. Okay, that that should say enough. But luckily my school had luckily the college I went to had a nurse practitioner, so I was able, as long as my insurance was on file, I was able to get whatever birth control I need. I have never experienced this before. Got the best health care I have ever received in my life in college. They were on it. Whatever tests you need, blood work, physical, pap smear, check my boobs, anything. If I need a year worth of birth control, she's gonna give me a year worth of birth control, and all I have to do is go pay it off. I was paying like 12. I think the most I paid for a pack of birth control was $16. And if I would come back in 3 months and I said I'm feeling this way, it didn't work, she would just change it out for me. Started off with the pill, and the pill was not right for me because birth control can cause, I wouldn't say it can cause like big depressions, but because I am more prone to depressive states, I think that made me more likely to become depressed when I was on birth control. Some people get depressed when they're on birth control, some people gain weight, some people stop eating. It just depends. Like I said, you know your body and go talk to somebody so you can figure out what's best for you. It took me a while, and remember, I had heavy periods already, so I was losing all that blood and all that iron. I was losing so much blood, it just came up that I had a blood disorder when I went to get a blood test. Like, my iron was so low and everything was so discombobulated that it just came up. Like, my doctor was like, oh my god, you need to see a blood doctor. He looked at my eye and was like, I could tell you just don't have any iron in your body. And once I got on birth control, my period did regulate. My periods lasted a week, if not less. Oh, y'all don't know how I was in tears. Like, I was in tears, like, yes.
Only God can do it. Only God can do it. Only God can do it. Only God can do it.
Like, to go my whole life feeling debilitated by my period, to have it all go away with the pop of a pill, a birth control pill. Y'all just don't know how happy I was. But yeah, and I still did, even after my periods got regulated, I still did have problems with iron, so it could have just been me. I did get tested, like my blood tested, and they believe that I just have small like blood cells, and it's hard to get all the iron I need to attach to my blood cells, because everybody knows like you have a certain amount of iron atoms that attach to the blood cells, blah blah blah. So I had to switch to a birth control that had iron in it. So yes, if you guys are having iron issues, they do have birth control with iron in it. And I also was like dieting and exercising, making sure I ate a lot of greens and a lot of meats, beans. That definitely helped. And I just felt overall happier, and just like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, like the sun was shining on my face. I was so happy. But the only thing is, I would go into these depressive states. I would be like all the way up here, and then I know where I'd be down here for months, and then I'd be all the way up here and then down here again. And I definitely believe it was the birth control, because after I was on the pill for about 2.5 years, experiencing those ups and downs, and then I switched to the NuvaRing. I don't know if it was a low dosage, and the birth control, they switched me to a low dose birth control with iron, and I like that. I felt a lot better. I didn't have any more ups and downs. I was on that for about a year. I didn't have any ups and downs or anything like that. I was cool. Periods were regular, very light. Didn't even have like acne. My skin was beautiful. And I already have a skin condition, so like my skin was clearing up, and that made me feel good. The next biggest thing, so 2 things why I did not want to be on the pill any longer: the ups and downs, and 2, I could not take the pills on time, you guys. I was missing 2-3 pills at a time, like having scares. And luckily school offered like all the free tests, so like every month me and my fiance would go. Luckily our college that we went to offered a lot of like pretty much every free test you could get. Any type of STD test, pregnancy test, like I said, blood test, all. Looked in your throat, your ear, your eye, whatever you needed. Look at your scalp, look at your eyebrows, look at your back, look at your knee, look at your elbow. Whatever you needed to get tested, they would do it. Especially if you had insurance. Like I had insurance, so everything was just fully covered. So we would go get tested, and I was having like scares. We were already going in there every month. So I was like, this needs to stop. This needs to stop. So I decided to get on the NuvaRing, and I really like the NuvaRing. I went to one doctor, and he didn't recommend a lot of stuff for me, especially because he didn't want me on the shot because the shot gained too much weight. He didn't want me to have patches because the patches give you blood clots. They didn't do the thing that inserted in your arm. I wanted the IUD earlier, but he said he didn't recommend that for women that did not have kids already, just because the uterus has already been like all stretched out. I don't know, he had some weird theory. I was like, he was a little controlling. But I just went with this. So he recommended the NuvaRing because at school they did not have them. I don't believe they had the NuvaRings. I had to actually go to a doctor. They only carry birth control pills. So I had to get the NuvaRing. And oh my gosh, if you guys don't want the pill, the NuvaRing was perfect for me. All you had to do was twist it, pop it in there yourself. If you could put on a tampon, you could do that. Your doctor will show you how to put that in. You don't even feel it. I asked my husband, I said, can you feel it? He said no. He said no. And you guys, me and my husband do not like to use condoms. I know a lot of people don't like to use condoms. I would not recommend not using condoms if you are not going to be responsible with birth control, and if you are going to have multiple sexual partners. Me and my husband were exclusive with each other. We were getting tested every month. So that's why I said this is for like a mature audience only, because we're going to be talking about these things. These topics are important. So me and my fiance were just with each other. Not everybody has that type of relationships. So I do not recommend going out and just not using condoms. Like, no, you got to. But we did not like it, and we needed to protect ourselves against pregnancy, and we would still get tested for STDs. Why not? It's free test. You need to keep that up. Whatever's gonna come out of the closet is gonna come out then, and nothing came out. So yeah, the NuvaRing. Back to the NuvaRing. The NuvaRing was great. Like, only had to change it every 3 weeks. Just take it out, wait a week, pop it back in. Didn't even feel it. Didn't know it was in there. Only one time did I have a hard time taking it out. It was all the way up in there. Had to ask my husband to get it out for me. I was like, I can't get it. You're gonna have to go in there and pull it out. He almost couldn't get it. So for like a year, my insurance was in and out. Like, I went through a period of not having insurance to having insurance to not having insurance. So I could only get birth control for like 3 months at a time. So that was very inconvenient for me for the months where I needed it. It was really hard for me to get. After I had my son, I got the 3-year Skyla IUD. So I don't have to worry about going back and forth to a doctor's office, worried about a prescription, worried about, am I going to need to put a payment on this prescription or a payment on that prescription. That can be concerning if you do not have a good paying job or good insurance. Just paying for that birth control, a portion out of pocket, keep that in mind. Birth control can get pretty darn expensive, so if a budget is a big factor and if you want to get birth control or not, I would suggest something more long term, or see if your healthcare professional can give you a certain amount at like 6 to 12 months at a time. I would not recommend getting 3 months at a time. Try to find somebody that can get you 6 to 12 months at a time. Talk to them about any insurance problems or payments that you may have, and tell them this would be just more convenient for you. If you guys want to know what it was like getting an IUD inserted into you, I'm about to tell you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If you guys like, it did not hurt. I will say this, if you could have a baby, or if you could have any surgery, you can get hit in the head with a baseball, if you could fall and break your leg, you could sprain your wrist, sprain your ankle, bite your lip, stub your toe, you can get this put in you. But it is uncomfortable. Think about a pap smear. Think about getting a pap smear, but they open you up a little bit wider. My naive self thought it was going to be like this long like needle, right? Like this rubbery, thin, super hairline fracture like needle. And the IUD was going to be in there. They were going to stick it into my cervix and pop it out, pull it out, cut the string, and be done. Oh, no, 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 no. No, it is not like that at all. You have to be very calm, very still. If you don't like pain, you probably aren't gonna like anything with the shot. You probably won't like the shot. The shot does make you gain a lot of weight. You probably won't like getting anything inserted in your arm, because I hear that leaves your skin pretty tender. And you probably aren't gonna like getting an IUD. But it was about 10 minutes. I wasn't in there long. I don't recall feeling any pain either walking out. I don't recall like being like really hurt about anything. Enough, at least not enough for me to remember. So yeah, what he did was he opened me up. You know, if you ever got a pap smear, they just open you up. He had everything laid out all nice and neat and clean, put his gloves on. He was very professional, very calm. He made me feel calm. I just wanted it to be over, to be honest. He just placed it in there. You could feel him putting it in there too. Oh my god, it's so weird. It's a little uncomfortable when they open you up. But they just place it in there. I remember it hurting more when they cut the strings, because they like push a little bit along the cervix, because they got to get it as short as they can without like I don't know, but they try to get it as short as they can. And I just remember feeling him cutting it along my cervix, like cutting it and like pushing up against my cervix. And oh my god, I was like, ah. I just remember being like, ah, ah. That's all I remember doing, like, ah, ah. And then he was done. And that's it. That is it. But beware, you're going to be very, 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 very uncomfortable when you get it. Finally, I'm going to talk about some symptoms that I had the first few months that I got my IUD. Now remember, I got mine right after having a baby. So your body is already going through dramatic changes for that whole year. So some of these symptoms, I don't know if it was due to my hormones changing from having an IUD or if it was completely from after having a baby. Because after a baby, like, everything just whoosh, 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 whoosh. Your body goes through so many changes, even at 6 months. Like, you're not done. Your body, you think after 6 months your body's cool, it's back the same. It's not. Even at 9 months, it's not. My child is a year old, and I just feel like my body is, like, getting back balanced. But yeah, the biggest thing I had was the bleeding. Now, I had to get checked at 6 weeks and 8 weeks. So I didn't get my IUD at 6 weeks, but I got it at 8 weeks because I had a C-section, so I had to get checked twice. And I would say I bled consistently for about 2 months. And I already got my period at exactly at 6 weeks. And then I had to bleed again for like 2 months, so that wasn't fun. But my period was so light when I first got it, I thought something was wrong. I didn't know what was going on. That's like, I was like, what's going on? So like, you're already bleeding, healing up from a baby for weeks, and then I had my period, and then I had to go back and deal with that. But it kind of like just tapered off. Like, it starts off a little light, then it gets a little heavy, and then it goes off. Some women bleed, I was told some women bleed for about 3 to 6 months. And I think when people hear that, they think heavy period bleeding for 3 to 6 months straight. And that's not true for everybody. It happens for some people, but for the most part, think of it as like spotting, maybe light bleeding, spotting, and it could be irregular. So it might not be like every single day. So keep that in mind. And I was also told that a lot of women take it out early. One of the biggest reasons is because they can't deal with the bleeding. But you have to remember, you're going to have this in for at least a year or longer. At least a year or longer. So that's a short amount of time compared to how long you're going to have this. My PMS is very dull. I do get like mild breakouts. Tender, swollen boobs, backaches, headache, cramps, but it's very mild. It's not as debilitating as it was before. And that's pretty much it. My period is regular. I do get a period. It lasts about a week or less. It's very light. I don't have any problems with it. I don't even need like thick pads or anything. I just have not had any problems with my period while being on an IUD, and I've had my IUD for a year. I probably should have said that earlier, but I've had my IUD for a little over a year. So I can definitely see myself getting an IUD for as long as I can. After every kid, I'm just going to pop that baby back in there, have somebody pop it back in for me, and boop, just put it back in for me and chill out for a few years before I pop another one out, because I don't want to go back on the pill. I don't want a NuvaRing. This is consistent. It's 99%. I did have a bit of a pregnancy scare. And you know, if you are on an IUD and you get pregnant, which is supposed to be very rare, it's supposed to be very rare, you can have an ectopic pregnancy. The likelihood of you having an ectopic pregnancy is very high. So that's one big thing. But I was just late because I moved to a different state, and my body is trying to like figure its way out around in this new state, and it has not been fun. If you like, leave a comment or any information down below that you want to share about birth control or your birth control experience or your birth control preference. Remember, I am not a healthcare professional. This is strictly my opinions and my experiences. That is my experience with an IUD, guys. If you like this video, make sure you click a like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And thank you so much for joining me for some Lorraytown vibes.